Hello and welcome to Gemcast.
Right now in Angola, the local capital market finally is exploding. Last week we have done the largest IPO in Africa.
So what's the top-down mission for Kassai and how does it fit into Gemcorp?
The top-down mission to Casai is to innovate and integrate the economy. Kasai is the first asset manager in Angola that has an asset management DNA. Gemcorp is investing in infrastructure, healthcare, water. When you develop the capital markets, you are developing standards. So there needs to be someone from the inside, some local that understands and can translate this language and translate these processes, translate the systems. This is how Kasai fits within this strategy. A lot of young people see themselves in me. It creates more responsibility. The question is...
Hello and welcome to Gemcast. Today I'm joined by Walter Pacheco, the chairman of Kassai Capital, part of Gemcorp Capital, and we'll be talking about mobilising capital in Angola. Welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Very nice to be here.
So we'll start, how we start with all our guests, on Gemcast. You want to just tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got here, and maybe your passion for emerging markets, and maybe specifically Angola, given your role?
So I was born in Angola, so I spent most of my young life in Angola, and then I went to Portugal, and then I went to the UK. I came to the UK. I studied here in the UK in Bristol and then Brighton.
Yeah.
Then I came back to Angola. I worked for a bank there. I worked for the regulator. Then I worked for the Ministry of Finance, and then I opened the stock exchange and the stock market in Angola. And then I was invited to join this project, which is Kassai project. So this is basically in a nutshell how I'm here.
Okay, cool. So I think you're slightly underplaying your role in lots of those businesses. So we'll dig into that a little bit because you've had a much bigger part to play than you're probably letting on a little bit there. But let's go on Kassai then. So kind of give me 30 seconds. What's the top-down mission for Kassai and how does it fit into Gemcorp?
So I would say the top-down mission to Kassai is to innovate and integrate the economy. So the Angolan economy really needs boots on the ground, really needs, I would say, informed capital. I would say smart capital, but not that smart. I'm not that smart.
Okay,
it's
fine.
informed capital. We need informed capital to mobilize capital domestically. So Gemcorp is doing a tremendous job in investing in infrastructure, healthcare, water, sanitation. So we are doing a tremendous job. So, and we figured out that we also need to do something for the investors in the private sector, local private sector.
Yeah.
This is how Kasai fits within this strategy.
And so one of the missions that we talk about at a sort of Gemcorp capital level is bringing capital in the developed markets and bringing it to the emerging world. But the Kassai mission is more about developing the local capital markets. And so sort of alluded at the start, you've actually had a sort of front row seat to a lot of the capital market development in Angola. You opened the stock exchange, for example, and you ran that organization. Kind of given that experience and what you see at Kassai, like why is that developing the local capital market so important? How does that drive, development in the emerging world and maybe in Africa specifically?
If we look at the market as a whole, developed and undeveloped market, you see that there is a lack, at the very least, there is a lack of communication.
Yeah.
So locals need to be able to at least understand the requirements for you to have access to this capital. Okay. And there is needs for someone or a group of institutions. I cannot do it alone, but there is a need for a group of institutions to help these companies or the agents, local agents, to be able to tap the international capital markets.
Yeah.
So there needs to be someone from the inside, some local that understands and can basically translate this language and translate these processes, translate the systems. And see, this is precisely how Kassai fits in that process. It would be very difficult for someone that was born and bred in the UK to communicate with someone in Angola or in other place in Africa.
Yeah.
So you need someone in Africa that's going to help locals, elevate them and hopefully have access to international capital markets.
And by developing the local capital market, that unlocks the foreign capital. That's the kind of the sort of the mantra here, right?
There is no doubt. There is no doubt that when you develop the capital markets, you are developing standards.
Yeah.
Right now in Angola, the local capital market finally is exploding.
Yeah.
This is something that I start working in this from the technical side. I start working on the legal framework.
Yeah.
And I end up leading the listing process of the
Yeah.
stock exchange.
Okay.
So right now, I moved to the other side.
Yeah.
What we are planning to do, when we are being very innovative and very disruptive, is to finally mobilize local capital to do some very sizable transaction. This is what we are doing, and we are being very successful.
So to what extent is that impacted by the demographics in Africa? You've got younger populations across the continent, which means there's less developed pension markets than you have in the developed world. To what extent is that a hurdle to essentially mobilizing capital if there isn't very much?
Yeah, it is a major issue that we have. It's also an opportunity.
Yeah.
So if you look to the Angolan demographics, you'll see that I think at least 60 or 70% of the population is less than 30 years old, which is very high. In some places, the average age is 13 years old.
Wow.
So they are very young population. And there is not a widespread, I would say, a widespread culture of saving for the future. And there is not this widespread for many reasons. One of them is because the disposable income is very small, but the other reason is where are you going to put your money? Where are you going to park your funds? In Angola, most of the people that made savings in local currency, they did not use the funds efficiently because you didn't have somewhere to park your funds. And the capital markets is important in that process. It's important in a way that at least you have somewhere where you can park your savings. It's the sort of a chicken and egg. I've been in market development for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like developing an ecosystem. Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you develop an ecosystem? Because the birds eat insects. Insects kill the birds when the birds die. So how do you develop that?
Yeah.
So you need to start small with two, and then the ecosystem develops itself. Right now, we are putting in the capital markets very interesting assets, not only in the public market, but also in the private market, where I'm now at this moment. We are putting together interesting pipelines. So people now have an incentive to save, and this is creating a new, a new round of development of the buy side in the market.
Okay, and how does that capital market development fuel this sort of broader economic development? So when we think about how we're investing in a lot of the projects that we do in EM, it's about investing in water or energy. How do capital markets help that occur? They're a foundational bedrock to that, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Gemcorp is different in a way that is pioneer. Gemcorp entered in Angola when no one wanted to enter.
Yeah.
So my job when I was at the Ministry of Finance is to develop the international. So is to allow Angola to have access to the international capital markets.
Yeah.
Right now, even today, I think today or yesterday, Angola issued Eurobonds. This is part of that strategy, which thankfully my ex-colleagues are continuing with that strategy. So right now, even a pension fund in the United States or a pension fund in, let's say, Japan, they can have access to Angolan risk.
Yeah.
So when Gemcorp started, it was very limited to, I would say, bilateral relationships that Angola had. So having said that, Casai is the first asset manager in Angola that has an asset management DNA.
Okay.
So most of them come from banks. So we are the first one with asset management DNA.
Yeah.
So we are more flexible. We are more rigorous. We can do things faster because we really understand. We have a group that really understands how to do it. We can do it faster.
Yeah.
And we are silently do a silent revolution because everybody's looking at us and to see what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any other competition in the market with the first? Or is it the banks are trying to adapt to chase us, or how's that developing?
Everybody's waiting for what we are going to do.
Yeah.
There is a lot of expectations, positive expectations.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is no one at this moment that is trying to create any challenges to us. On the contrary. So what I see now is more demand for Kasai than what Kasai can supply.
Yeah.
Yes. And so which is interesting. And so as soon as we start seeing the kind of results that we are putting together, things will move very quickly.
And that's sort of one of the challenges, I guess, that you sort of highlighted was meeting demand. But what are the other big challenges for Kassai as you develop a domestic asset manager in Angola? What are the biggest challenges that you're facing?
The big challenge is that we are developing a market. Yes. So we are part of the market development process.
Yeah.
And the market development process, we are creating supply and creating demand at the very same time.
Yeah.
So, which is the biggest challenge, because you need to have a strategy where you do big deals, but also have a strategy where you educate people,
Yeah.
so that they can help you do the next big deal.
Yes.
So the way we are developing our products is in a way that we're going to allow the most risk averse to the least risk averse investor to cooperate with us. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you even go about starting a culture of education and investing where there is really no history of it? I mean, that's enough of a challenge for me when I sit in my, with my marketing director hat on here at Gemcorp Capital, thinking about developed market LPs where we're trying to educate them. It's one of the reasons we have this podcast, is to educate people about emerging market private credit. I mean, I can't even imagine the challenge you have to do when it's completely alien to people.
So education is a very broad concept, yes. What I've done, all the aspects of education. So I was a university professor in the one.
You've lived 1,000 lives, Walter, I tell you.
I was one of the lecturers in the Capital Markets Academy. So some of the guys that are directors, they were my students. I trained a lot of good people. So most of the guys, they are, in the market in many sectors. They work with me.
Yes.
So which makes me very proud.
Yeah.
And which at the stage that we are now is, people will only understand how these things work if they work with these things. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what we are planning to do now. So I'm planning to get some funds on board. As soon as they get the funds on board, they operate, they do the transaction, they see the risks and the returns. They are getting educated in.
Cool. And I know your vision doesn't stop with Angola. So what about the rest of Sub-Saharan Africa, the African continent? How does it differ? Are the challenges the same? Are they different? We often talk about investors seeing EM as sort of amorphous blob, and it's incredibly diverse. My sense is that, capital market development in Africa will be the same.
Our strategy is to have a local financial group in Angola. And this financial group cannot stay in Angola, because Gemcorp is a group, we are doing what anyone is doing. So we are investing in places that no one is investing yet. So it is going to make a lot of sense if we also replicate what we have done very successfully in Angola. So we have boots on the ground, local people, develop local people, and do what no one is doing. So and this is precisely what we are planning to do. Yeah.
So you talked about boots on the ground. You're from Angola. You already said that I would have no chance in developing an Angolan asset management company, but I'm not considering it, so don't worry about it, because I agree with you. To what extent do you believe that empathy, the understanding that you bring when you're operating in Angola, but also thinking of the deals you look at on the private side, the public side, how much is that really powerful versus somebody who comes from another country, from the developed world, and tries to do the same thing?
Yeah, so the Gemcorp brand always helped. Yes, so Gemcorp is deploying considerable capital in Angola. So it's a very well established and respected entity there. Yeah. And by investing or hiring an Angolan, which is relatively high profile, it also creates a very symbiotic relationship. Yeah. So I understand the market. I've been in this market for more than 15 years. So I understand the market, I understand the challenges, I understand the processes. But with the brand behind me and all the support that we are having locally, it's going to make us achieve very strong results. So it's not only what we can bring to the table, but it's only how can we leverage what we have been doing there so far.
This seems like quite a personal mission for you. You've obviously been at the forefront of the development of the capital markets in Angola, and now, to your point, you're a practitioner within it. How much of that drives you, that personal desire to see Angola succeed as a country?
Me and the one gentleman, which is a very senior gentleman now in Angola, we used to share the same room.
Yeah.
And we used to talk about how the market going to evolve, and we are going to be the ones developing that market.
Okay.
So it's really interesting because we have developed the certain markets in Angola where we are now doing this that we talked about 15 years ago.
Wow.
So it's kind of personal to me, and so every time I see any positive development in Angola capital markets, it's nothing more personal than that. So I spent most of my life in that process. But now, to be honest, now it's not all about me. Now it's what probably I represent, and a lot of young people see themselves in me, and it creates more responsibility.
Okay.
So we have to be successful, and we have to be successful because this is precisely what the new generation is looking at. Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Only a whole generation resting on your shoulders.
It's a lot of pressure, but I'm used to pressure. So I'm having pressure pretty much for the last 15 years. So
and for young people, are they investing in Kasai? Are they the kind of typical client base, or is it older ones? Like who are the people that we're kind of targeting the most?
Right now, the way we have started Kasai, we envisage Kasai as a private equity entity. As a private equity entity, as you may assume, the investors tend to be high-ticket investors. Yeah. So most of the young people are not in that position yet.
Yeah.
But we are developing products and services that will cater to these investors.
And thinking about, with your crystal ball, what does the future hold? Let's look forward over the next decade. What do you believe the future has for sort of capital market development in Angola? Where does that leave Angola as a country? What excites you about that future?
What excites me is that we are just scratching the surface. Yes, we are just starting. And last week we have done the largest IPO in Africa. Yeah. So Banco BFA was a successful IPO, 4 times oversubscribed in a country that started only the capital market in 2015, but properly the stock exchange, the stock market in 2022. Wow. So it's less than 3 years. Yeah. Yes. So we have achieved this, and we have a lot of good assets, good projects, and good things to do in the country. Yeah. That we're only scratching the surface. So I do believe that market will grow a lot, but it needs help. So it needs people to push the boundaries, and this is precisely what we are doing. Yeah.
And I guess more broadly, for those potential LPs who might be working with Capital, who can't work with Kasai because they're not a domestic investor in Angola, although I'm sure you'd happily help them. I guess they're part of that development as well, because that dollar invested in Angola, it goes a long way.
Gemcorp Capital is already there. So Gemcorp Capital is talking the talk and walking the walk. So they already invested. So and they invest in very meaningful sectors. Yes, and some of the people, they were a little bit concerned of the impact of Gemcorp. Now they are very relieved because we are doing very interesting investments in Cabinda. We are doing very interesting investment in the southern part of the country. Yeah, fighting drought and helping people to find new sources of income, properly developing a region with 2 million people. Yeah. So we are doing this. The question is, how can we push the locals also to keep the same momentum, the same curve? Of course, Gemcorp cannot do everything alone, but I'm confident that we can start a new market, a new revolution there.
I'm confident you can, Walter. And I think on that note, on that bombshell, we can wrap it up. I really appreciate your time, and I hope everybody enjoyed listening to this. If you want more information on Kasai, you go to www.kassaicapital.com.
Exactly.
Good, I should know that. Yeah, no. And of course, if you want some more information on Gemcorp Capital, you go to www.gemcorpcapital.com.